Hello everyone. So after reading chapter 2 and understanding both decision making styles, I have realized that I have used both rational model and sleep principle to analyze certain situations. For instance, for my past and present job experience as the sports management manager at Dillon University, I was able to use the rational model. So just to give you a little insight of what it was to be in the sports management team, we did have weekly meetings to have a rundown of what the game would look like. So we would have meetings with the athletic director and the assistant director to make sure that everybody was on the same page on what it would look like for the game and who would be in what position or what changes did we have to make. So yeah, we would actually make decisions right in there. So that was part of the decision makings that we would do there as a team. Then we would meet up 2 days before the home game and make sure that everything that we talked last week was on the same page and everybody would be on the same page, or if we had to make any adjustments right in there, then we would just address them. And then on game days, I would have to be there 2 hours before just to make sure that I would set up the gym, make sure that everybody would show up at the time that they had to be there, just to make sure that everything was running good and well for the game before the game started. So for instance, I would have to set up the live stream, make sure that we had a person for like shot clock, for book stats, for the make sure that the person that was coming in for stats, they had a printer and they had a backup computer just in case there's something happening, because you never know. We would also make sure that the locker rooms were set up for the opposing team, or we would also have the locker rooms for the refs ready. So just like stuff like that I had to take care of right before the game started. Or like during a game, if something went wrong with the live stream, then I would have to fix it before anything. So yeah, my job was kind of like that. It's just small decisions that you had to take sometimes. Like if that wasn't working, then you would have to do this, or so that's the type of decisions that I would make there. So my example that I'm gonna use, that I currently faced, that I'm gonna use for the rational model, because for the rational model we have 9 steps. I'm gonna use my current, I wouldn't say current, but it's in the past as well, because I just started school, so I made my final decision by attending Texas Women's University. So I'm just gonna give you a rundown. So I was between choosing Calvary University and Texas Women's University. So I'm going to give you the rational model decision making, how I did it when I was making my final decision of attending Texas Women's University. So for my first step on the rational model, I was, which is identify the real problem, which was taking the right decision on what path to take for my master's degree. So that was between either attending Texas Women's University or going to Calvary University to play volleyball for 1 year. So I was between those, and that was the real problem, that I didn't know which one to take because they were both good opportunities. And for step 2, the decision objective is for me was to be able to be comfortable and satisfied with the final decision that will allow me to get to my long-term goal. For number 3 is to gather all pertain information. So I had to look at the master's program for both. So for Calvary, they didn't have a sports management or a kinesiology program, so it was education. And then of course for TWU was the sports management master's program. So I was like, so it was like TWU it is, because like they have sports management and I need that for myself, But then I also was looking at the financial aid, the scholarships, and the goal accomplishments that I would look, or the job experiences that I would get on both. So it was just, that would be that. And then I had to identify any hurdles. So for the hurdles for step 4, I had to look at the financial aid, I had to look at the job opportunities, I had to look at my feelings, because I think that's very important. I had to look at whether I felt comfortable within my whether I felt mentally and physically okay with, the environment, the setting I was in, or with the decision that I was taking with the school and the program that I was going to take. So I think that was probably one of the very important things as well. And then for 5 is brainstorming the alternative, which was to either stay home or go to Kansas City. And I was just between both of them, and I just didn't know exactly. So I had to break it all the way down. And for number 6 was to narrow down my options. So I narrowed down my options to financial aid and job opportunities, and my mental and physical feelings of comfort. Those were my top 3 when I was able to narrow down my final decision. And when I finally, for number 7, when I was able to examine my pros and cons, for my cons, I was looking at scholarship and financial aid wise, and I was looking at my mental and physical health within my feelings and how I was feeling. It was crazy because I did have a mental breakdown when I went to go visit Calvary University, and I think that is very important when you don't feel comfortable or you don't feel like it's the right choice for you. So those were my cons. My pros were, of course, my mental and physical health, financial aid, and being able to have job experiences within the sports industry, something I wasn't going to have at Calvary University. I had to do it on my own since I was going to do education. So not being able to be within the sports or sports industry was also a big deal for me. So that's how I was able to examine my pros and cons for each option. And then finally, for step 8, I made my final decision because like I said, I had a mental breakdown. So I actually did end up going as part of my rational model decision making. I ended up taking the decision to attend Calvary University. But when I went up there, like I said, I had a mental breakdown, a complete mental breakdown that I couldn't even explain on why I felt the way I did. And when I stopped to think about my career or what I was going to do, I was like, this is not it. This is not what I want. And I started to, break down the decision-making process of why is this not a good choice? Why do you have to attend TWU? So, I went through the 9 steps of the rational model. And I finally, for step 8, made my decision and was like, TW it is because I'm doing sports management. I'm going to get the job experience. I'm going to be able to network with people that are in the same career that I want to be in. And I'm going to have the opportunity because I did receive financial aid and I did receive a grant. So, I had to take that in consideration when I made my final decision. And then finally, I was able to evaluate my decision. Finally, I was able to evaluate my decision with myself and, of course, my parents, because I think family is important as well. So I was finally able to make my decision, and now I'm here doing my master's at TWU, and I'm actually satisfied with the decision I took. So I am actually kind of excited to see where this goes. I actually had fun with this discussion, and I hope y'all enjoy it. Thank you.